What's up, everybody? This is Alex from AlexFromSound.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make all of the sounds from my no copyright sounds drop that I made in yesterday's video that was titled Making a Drop for No Copyright Sounds. I got a few questions regarding the sound design and how I made some of the elements like the vocal chops, the chords, and the basses. So today you're going to learn how to make 3 sick sounds. The vocal chops, which sound like this. And then you're going to learn how to make the chords. They sound like this. And then you're going to learn how to make this bass line, this roaring bass line that I'm crazy about. Sounds like that. So we got three sounds to make, and we're gonna get right to that. So I know I said I had an EP coming out May 1st. The production of that EP was good, but it got really difficult by the end, and I just wasn't happy with the product that I had promised everybody. So I'm gonna continue putting work into making that EP nothing less than perfect and professional, and we might start releasing the songs as singles instead of having them go out as a bunch, because it will be an easier way for us to just keep putting out content for you guys. So we're going to get into these vocal chops here. Zaja Official asked about those vocal chops, and I saw that comment and I was like, you know what, I do have to show how I made them, because they were even hard for me to come up with, because I think vocal chops are really difficult to do sometimes. So here's how I did those. I took one of Lauren's acapellas. For those of you who are new here and might not know who Lauren is, she is a vocalist that I work with pretty regularly. She's appeared in videos when I was streaming every day. She was in some of the streams, and she's in some of my Instagram posts, instagram.com/AlexFromSound. And I took the acapella from one of our unreleased songs called Cleanup Game. It sounds like this.
I don't wanna dance. You always cancel plans.
And to make these vocals work, I started out with this acapella. I highly recommend you start out with the acapella and the vocal chops if you want to drop with vocal chops in it, because it just makes it so much easier to harmonize with, and the vocals are already in key. You don't gotta mess around with the keys. You could literally just chop it up and it might sound good. So basically what I did is I just went through and I chopped up like these big thick parts, like right here, went bam bam without even like hesitation either, and put minimal thought into it. Just kind of like took some of these parts where the vocals are hot and put them all together, and like did some arranging, did some rearranging, so I would end up with something like this. Like this, and it sounds either decent or it doesn't. So then what you do is you kind of like just cut it a little more, rearrange the little chops like this, and then you get like, and then you like just start developing a flow like that. So I don't like this first one. So I don't like that first one, but I like this one. This is like a nice little chop. Maybe we could do something like this. So I think a nice way to go after those two first notes would be transpose this down like a couple notes. See, like that's like a nice little melody, at least in my opinion. La la la. So like something like that, I could totally make a cool bass line around. And then we can, continue our little chop fest. Do something like this. And bada bing, you got a cool little melody. Add some delays, reverbs. So for instance, I have all these reverbs, delays, OTT, and then eventually you mess around with those. Like, you're not gonna add reverb and delay and it's gonna work every single time. But you know, you add reverbs and delay plugins and OTT plugins, and then eventually, like after tweaking them for a while, you end up with something that actually sounds pretty good. So what we're gonna do now is listen to this. Let's listen to this dry. That, I mean, it can't get more straightforward than that. A single chop that I used for all of these chops, added some reverb to it. Alright guys, now we're on to the chord layer. They sound like this. In the whole mix, they sound like this. And that's like without the vocal chops, obviously. But how did I make those? Well, we'll get to the layering in a second, because that's like every reason why they sound so good. It's kind of not that why they sound so good isn't really relevant to the sound designing part, because they are just simple super saws. And how to make these is you get a synth of your choice. Any synth will make a decent super saw. Well, any modern synth like Alchemy, Serum, Sylenth, Spire will make a decent super saw. You want to up your unison because it's a super saw, which means there's just a lot of saw waves. So you can use this saw wave, or you can just go through and get the normal saw wave, which will sound a little bit more tamed, I think. And do something like that. And so that's how I made the chord get. I like messy super saws. So I took a layer like that, and I got this, and I just EQ'd it a little bit, and I panned it to the right. But to make my super saws really big, I like to make them really wide and really stereo. So I made another layer panned to the left, but I made this one with Sylenth. And the reason I used a different synthesizer is because to get that big stereo effect, you don't want the same exact sound panned to the left. So if I had these exact chords panned to the right and the left, it wouldn't sound as big because they're the same sound. So they would kind of just come together and give you the same sound as if you had one pan to the center. Trust me, it's weird, but it's how it works. So I took Sylenth 1 to make this layer just to make it slightly different, and together they complement really well and get a really wide off-center sound. But that's not it. You have to make your chords a lot brighter than this, because if they just stand like this, then you're going to overcompensate your mix by making the chords really big and really loud, and it's just kind of throw everything off because you're overcompensating with loudness, which is the last thing you should ever do. Make your sounds bigger, not louder. And to make these bigger, I added this layer. This is the most important layer in the world. And all it is a white noise layer that follows the rhythm of the chords. You need that layer. If you don't, then your chords are just going to be ear-piercingly loud, and it's just so annoying. A lot of people do mess that up, so please use white noise layers on your chords. So like with the white noise, or without, it sounds like this. And then with it sounds like this. And bam, you got some fat chords. So that's how I sound designed those chords. We got one last layer, and I got a question by the creator in the comments section saying, do I always do 3 layers for bass? Or it was something along those lines. Bass sounds like this, and the layers sound like this. This would be the sub, I think. So that's a sub bass, the layer you can't hear outside of a cell phone speaker or a laptop speaker. Then you get this. This is the low tone layer. So if you're looking at an EQ, what I'm really trying to get out of this layer is a strong, consistent sound right here. And that's like where I struggle the most with basses. I can't get this part to sound good every single time. So how did I make these? This one's just a super saw bass. It's literally one oscillator with a sawtooth waveform, 8 voices of unison, and detuned that much. These 3 parameters are going to be the main 3 parameters you will use in a synthesizer any day of the week. Also, I filtered it like right with this filter. Like that. And that's just a really simple thing. It's just another super saw layer. And then this one is the most important tone, hands down, because it does translate to most speakers and makes your bass sound big. But this one is 1 voice of unison with the retrigger on and the detune off, and then we have that saw wave. So it's just that like 1 saw wave, again, just these 3 parameters, 1 oscillator, and then I just low pass filtered it. And mixed the hell out of it, balanced it, made these 3 basses. Try to make them as even as possible, balance wise. To make the perfect sub bass, all you do is take your synthesizer of choice, initialize the preset, and then you're only going to use 1 oscillator, use a sine wave, because a sine wave is pure sub bass, 1 voice, and then all we're going to do is soften up the attack and the release. You got a perfect sub bass for you. And then together, everything sounds really nice, like this. There you go, guys. That is the 3 sounds that I used, or the 3 main sounds that I used for my no copyright sounds style drop. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, I would really appreciate a thumbs up, and if you would subscribe to my channel if you are new here. And if you are new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications so you can be notified every time I do a cool tutorial like this and one of those making a beat for blank videos. Because you guys seem to like those videos a lot, and it's really pumping me up because those videos are incredibly difficult to make. Yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Peace out.